This is the Criterion Creeps podcast, and tonight we're talking about Stage and Spectacle, 3 films by Jean Renoir. A boxed set, RJ.
A what?
It's from the back of the box of this DVD set. Near the end of his long and celebrated career, master filmmaker Jean Renoir indulged his lifelong obsession with life as theater and directed The Golden Coach from 1953, French CANCAN 1955, and ELENA and Her Men from 1956. I disagree with these dates. These are not what Letterboxd tells me. Three delirious films infatuated with the past, love, and artifice. Awash in jubilant technicolor, each film interweaves public display and private feelings through the talents of 3 immortal film icons: Anna Magnani, Jean Gabin, and Ingrid Bergman. The Criterion Collection is proud to present these 3 majestic films by Jean Renoir for the first time on DVD.
There's a lot of $10 words in that description.
Lofty.
Do you own this box set, Jarrett?
I have the Criterion website to help me with this information.
Well, I would say 8 times out of 10 you usually do. So I was just curious because I was like, I wonder if he owns these majestic pieces of cinema.
The DVD set is quite nice looking.
Yeah, it's actually a good package.
It looks nice.
Okay.
So, first up, The Golden Coach, which I'm going to say is from 1952.
Okay.
The Golden Coach. This is the synopsis, not from Letterboxd, but also from the Criterion set, because the one on there has got like literally one sentence.
It is one sentence.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, The Golden Coach is a ravishing 18th century comic fantasy about a viceroy who receives an exquisite golden coach and gives it to the tempestuous star of a touring Commedia dell'arte company. Master director, they always say that, don't they? Master director Jean Renoir's sumptuous tribute to the theatre, presented here in the English version he favored, is set to the music of Antonio Vivaldi and built around vivacious and volatile star Anna Magnani.
I mean, ravishing, as you said, Jarrett.
Sometimes.
Ravishing.
Sometimes you throw that adjective in there and makes it sound a little bit better than it is, right?
You know what I heard? This isn't an exaggeration, but in meetings today from 10 separate people, I heard the expression flesh it out. Well, 10 separate people, Jarrett. We really got to flesh that out.
Maybe that's like getting ready for Videodrome.
We're going to be fleshing stuff out there. Do you think that movie is ravishing? We'll get there. We're not talking about Videodrome.
Yeah, we're talking about The Golden Coach.
Of course we are. Of course.
So, I haven't seen any of these movies that we're going to be talking about. None. I've never even heard of them. These are just like weird little, we'll call them speed bumps on the road of Criterion Mania.
Okay, I think I know how you feel about
these are what we call squash matches in the business.
Sure.
Yeah, they're about. It's about like maybe they're good hands. They're going to put us over. We're just going to
business.
We're going to do what's best for business. We're going to get it out of the way. So yeah, I mean, I think that Jean Renoir is at best adequate director. I think that his time, his relevance, I guess, in terms of like film craft is definitely historical, and I don't think is particularly relevant to my tastes anyway. What I want out of movies, he's not giving me. I'm not finding it in what he's doing in like a lot of the movies we've watched. Even like his most widely regarded, A Grand Illusion, which I probably was a lot more generous because that was like our first episode, and I figured that's what people wanted. When we cared. Rules of the Game. That was a long time. It's been 4 years, RJ, that this road has been traveled, and this is like this is 4 Renoirs in a month. Like, is this my life?
It is now, unfortunately.
So I was not looking forward to this. Is what I'm saying. We made a wise decision instead of like pacing ourselves and doing 3 weeks of this box set. We decided let's just do it now. Let's get it over with.
Let's do it live.
Let's do it live, pal. And so we did it. And first up was the Golden Coach. This is a pretty straightforward piece of work. I will say that I think it is my favorite of the three. I think.
Okay.
There's something about wigs that I guess like I was in the mood for. I was into some like powdered white wig action, and I kind of liked the kind of dorky, dopey Viceroy.
Okay.
As a character who I think the first time you see him, he's like his servants are pouring hot water to soak his feet in, and he's like, "Oh, it's too hot. There's something in my eye." I was fine with this trope.
Yeah. You know who he reminded me of, Jarrett? Do you ever watch Futurama?
Yeah.
Do you know Hedonism Bot?
Yes.
He reminded me of that a little bit, with like the curls and the, being fed grapes and
See, that's more of like I think of a Fellini and Satyricon.
For Hedonism Bot.
Yeah.
Well, we'll get there eventually.
We'll get there eventually. So yeah, I mean, this is exactly what you kind of expect. So the film, actually, the worst case was when this movie opens up and there's a goddamn stage, and we just got finished talking about this like a week or two ago about how like nothing kills me more than like really stagey movies. Sometimes, other times I'll watch like Dogville, and that it works great. I'm totally into it. Other times you get Henry V. Other times you get the lower depths.
Yes, you do.
But this movie luckily kind of abandons that fairly quickly, the stage thing, but then it kind of comes toward that at the end.
Yeah.
There's not much depth in this movie. Comedy, like the troupe, the actor troupe rolls into town at the same time that the Golden Coach, that the rich asshole whose people are starving, who's not taking care of business, and he's just spending money, and he's got different accounts. There's there's the public monies, and then there's his private, and he's always like, I'm going to pay for that out of the public money. and so the troop shows up, and they're kind of being guard. Their security is a former soldier who's like, he's your good dude. He's your hero that you're supposed to be rooting for. He's not going to take kindly to rich assholes or like piece of shit innkeepers who are taking too big a cut of the gate. And they show up. There is stuff here that I like, that kind of like we'll connect to say something like Seven Seal, where you have the actor troupe in that, and I kind of liked seeing how actors kind of live. And I think this movie actually has a pretty great depiction of how audiences are horrible. And like they would just be talking over you all the time while you're trying to actually work. Like there's like the old man who's like kind of the presenter or narrator. I loved his outfit. I was thinking like, man, this would be a really great color palette for or a paint scheme for some minis, RJ. And so there's things like that. Like the same thing happened with the leper. Where I was like watching these things and I was like really like, I'm really into like just like the costumes of these. But then you just kind of get into the plot, and we have the kind of the prima donna. I guess that's the Anna Magnani character. She's like very demanding and like has expectations of like quality of accommodation, and she's like kind of like the big ham of like the stage and stuff like that. And you get to see this like very broad, big style of acting, because you're supposed to be acting to the back of the audience to keep them all engaged. So it winds up with sort of like this like love square where you have Anna Magnani, you have the knight who's like kind of like, well, I'm not just trying to bang her, I can barely even stand her, but he really does care, and she doesn't really appreciate that. And then you've got the bull man, Mr. Bull Slayer, who's like the cocky dick who doesn't take no for an answer. And everyone loves this guy, even though he's a real jackass. And then we have Moneybags,
Which one?
Well, we the Viceroy, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Hedonism bot.
Hedonism bot. So I mean, he's kind of like, ooh, I like those gams on display. I like this. I can, and she's poor, and I can snatch her up. And she's like, I'm poor, and he's rich. My life will be like taken care of. But man, you don't do this shit in the 18th century. You're kind of like, no. This is some real Princess Di stuff. You're like laying with a sewer rat, an actor,
Wow.
which is always something that like the lowliness of actors historically is something that's always baffled me. Where like actors are like down there with sex workers, right? They're the lowest of the low historically. No, I'm not. This is not me. This is like this is the whole thing. Like I remember like learning about this, like, you know, in art history and like learning about drama. It's like, yeah, historically speaking, actors, prostitutes, like nude models, like people who do modeling and stuff like that for actors, like they are like the lowest of the low, and you don't
What
deal
about
with
artists?
Actors. Oh, I mean, well, it depends on if you get on properly, then you're kind of viewed as a genius. But you're also viewed as a person who deals with these people. But maybe you have a temperament to deal with those types.
Okay.
Usually you have like a patreon.com kind of thing going on.
Patreon or OnlyFans?
Maybe a little bit of both.
I would imagine.
Yeah.
I would hope at least.
Yeah. So because it's a period piece and there's men involved, there's a lot of like talk of duels and like, you know, fighting it out when they should be hugging it out.
Okay.
And
yeah, there's a duel in almost all of these movies.
Yeah. There's scraps.
I think there actually is.
Correct. Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, because it's just like, will they, won't they? Who will she wind up with? And we kind of already know how it's all going to work out, I guess, once you put this movie in. And then, then there's this whole thing about the Golden Coach. And I guess you could talk about the class struggle.
What about magic surrealism? Or is it a metaphor, Jarrett?
Less so.
Okay.
Less so, I think.
Okay.
The best thing about this, though, was that this English dub made watching this so easy. Like, I don't know. I feel like an idiot saying that, but man, after like having every single fucking thing we've watched lately has just been subtitled.
Black and white subtitles?
Yeah. And watching this, I was like, oh, cool. Like, I don't even care. I mean, it's this weird, like, French director, Italian production, but it's set in Peru. But it's like fake Peru.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
But there was an issue. I wanted to take some screenshots for the Instagram, and there was no option to put on subtitles because it was dubbed in English.
Wow.
So
so this movie's like a big fuck you to the hard of hearing.
Yeah, well, that's what I thought, because I think I've actually seen someone else complain about that before on Twitter or something, and they're just like, why the fuck do English movies not have subtitle option on Criterion Channel?
Yeah.
You know?
That it costs money to do
I
that sort of
guess.
thing. I mean, a lot of their movies are subtitled.
I mean, I'll do it. All they'd have to give me is money. That's it. I'll do it.
You'll do it.
Yeah, for not even that much money, like $20, I'll do it.
So,
you know.
Yeah.
Anyways,
so I don't. Okay. Well, I mean, that's it. I mean, is that it? Like, do you want to go into the plot of this?
That is the plot.
That is literally the plot. There's not much to get into. There's talk about like you got to like do something about this coach dude. You got to dump this woman because she's like she's not helping with our image. There's like one good scene, I guess, that I guess I was like, yeah, this is why I guess this is the one I like the most, with the innkeeper explaining like why they had this full house, and it's like, well, why is the gate so small? Why is there no one paying? It's like, well, poor people have no money. The middle class are my friends, and I don't want to ask them to pay for this, and the rich just don't pay. That's just not the way it's done. And you're like, so no one pays for anything, but you owe. We're gonna have to work for you forever to pay you back for accommodations.
Makes sense.
And for traveling here, and it's like so it's like this catch-22 kind of situation.
Is this a road trip movie?
No.
Oh, okay. I thought it fit in there a little bit almost by that description.
Right.
But yeah, class systems. You know what I would have preferred though is if
that's something Renoir is all about, is class.
It is. But I kind of wish that this movie took place on a train, and each descending train car was a lower class system or something.
And I wish that there's something about this movie taking place in a basement and upstairs.
Oh, and like what would happen in between the floors? Would the lower floor be mutant people in latex?
Chuds?
Chuds, people under stairs,
Yeah.
like whatever fits into that category.
So what I'm saying is, where is Jean Renoir's Chuds?
I mean, that would be a great movie.
Or I guess simply
No,
Chud.
I saw someone put a meme with chuds in it on Reddit, and I was like, I feel like they stole that from me.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, I know Chud is a movie that I didn't create, but I feel like I'm one of the only people who popularized it since The Simpsons.
So yeah, this movie is no great shakes, but is fine-ish of these three movies. But maybe it's because it's the first one of the set, and it was in the first 2 hours, and so it seemed okay, and it was English, so these all assisted in trying to watch these movies. Again,
I think that's fair.
Yeah, and again, for the Renoir stands out there, look, in the context of this, we're not going out of our way to watch these movies to shit on your favorite movie. This is how Criterion put them in the order. They got some package deal. They work through the series. I'm very happy that your movies are on DVD. You can watch them. Oh, and that's the other thing. Like, so ELENA and Her Men, whatever you want to say about that movie, it definitely looks the best of the three. And these are all on the Criterion channel. The picture's the clearest. Golden Coach and even French CANCAN look pretty dog-eared at this point. French CANCAN in particular seemed really washed out.
It did, but I think there's some other stuff you can take from that. I'll get to that in a second.
Like painterliness?
Yeah, the sets and like the paintings and stuff like that.
Yeah, but what I'm saying though is, like, I think the picture quality was bad. Like I think the colors just look wrong.
There was a point in this movie and the other movie where it's like you could tell at the bottom of there's some deterioration in the film, and like that's whatever. It's an old movie.
On top of it, these are also old DVDs. Like, these are 2003, 2004, and were probably like amazing for the time. But I don't know if there's going to be a lot of effort put into restoring these movies.
Right.
I don't know if they're going to be the biggest hot sellers. We'll know what our numbers are like for these episodes for downloads and stuff like that in a little while. And that usually I honestly think that tells the story of like sales a lot of the time. So that's like some I don't know what you want to call that, background, kind of like gives you some data collection. It's meta tags.
They should be paying us for that.
I'm sure they know. I'm pretty sure they know what their sales are like. Hey, RJ, what did you think of the Golden Coach?
Martin Scorsese says it's one of his best.
Yeah, I know that. I knew that. Marty, you know, he's pretty predictable. Something like, you know, when I see the Golden Coach, I go, I bet you this is one of Martin Scorsese's favorite movies. And I go, sure enough, he's interviewed about it right on the disc. Mm-hmm. And one thing I'm learning is I don't know if Marty and I have the same taste in movies, because he is very old and I am getting there. But there's a big gap between he and I.
At least you can agree on his movies for the most part.
Oh yeah, I like his. I like how he makes movies, and I'm glad that he makes the movies that he makes, and he doesn't make Jean Renoir movies.
Right. So the only reason I brought that up was I watched a supplement for each of these. I watched Martin Scorsese for the Golden Coach. I watched your boy Peter Bogdanovich for the French CANCAN, and then I watched Renoir himself on ELENA, and he got, I think it was a 6-minute excerpt, and I think I got 45 screenshots from it because I'll get there, but
lots of truth bombs.
Yeah, he was like, I wanted to make a good movie and I didn't. And like I sent you some of those. Those are his own words. So we'll get to ELENA. Golden Coach. I have a theory about this box set, Jarrett.
Okay.
And I'm stealing one piece in French CANCAN. Peter Bogdanovich, he said this one, but I think Golden Coach is about theaters. I think the French CANCAN is about entertainment. That's what Bog said. Mm-hmm. And I think ELENA and Her Men is about actresses. Okay. And I think as a whole, this trilogy is about artists with their heads up their own asses.
Okay.
Each one of these films.
So you loved it.
I am partial to agree with you in a certain way. I think Golden Coach and I think French. So just letting it out there right now, I think Golden Coach and French CANCAN are somewhat better than they have some decent parts, but I Golden Coach first, I was like, okay, whatever. French CANCAN, it really started to set in, and then when ELENA and Her Men came on, I was like, I can't stand these fucking movies anymore. And I think it's like, it's one of those things. I know there's a lot of like, so I know what you said where it's like things about seeing how actors live. That is cool. But one thing I don't like very much is this thing where all these movies about filmmakers or alternatively, think of it like this: books about authors, like all the Stephen King books are all about actual authors and stuff. And it's all these people who are like, I don't think they're intentionally trying to put themselves like, it's like, look at how we struggle. And it's like, I get it. But at the same time, it's like, I've had enough of this. I can't stand more movies about it's like, look at the trials of us theater actors.
See, this is the thing though. It's like this era though, like the way that these movies are being made, like these are made for wide audiences. This is an era where like you didn't make small little accurate pictures of like what your life's going to be. You're going to be like, oh, we got to get the asses in seats. We got to tell big broad stories. And so they get told in this compromised way where you're like, I mean, we're a long ways away from like Charlie Kaufman adaptation or something like that.
Sure. Yeah, and like that's what I mean too. It's like it's well trodden ground, but in these movies it really stuck out to me where I was just like, ugh. Especially French CANCAN, but I'll get there. Golden Coach, I think it's okay.
Yep.
I'm not a huge fan, but as with you, I appreciated that it was in English. Mama Roma is pretty good in this movie. Yep. So she's good. I actually did kind of dig the idea of this Golden Coach as like this entity within the film where it's like we gotta have the coach. It's like a sign of our society and our culture and like our wealth. And then I was like, it's a character in itself. I was like, that's kind of cool. But then I didn't like, even though it's a little bit more restrained than the other ones, I didn't like that, like the theater things, as I'm sure, like you said, you didn't either. And it was one of those things. It's like I don't want to watch that shit in these movies.
And it's shitty. It's shitty theater. Like it's never like good. It doesn't like capture you. Like, oh wow, like this is like really enrapturing live theater. It's like, no, it's always bad. Like it never works.
Yeah. How did you feel about the DC Comics villain Black Mask and his appearance in as some of the child actors in this movie?
Oh shit. Yeah.
And that scene where they're all eating spaghetti.
So here's the thing. Okay. So we got the Golden Coach. We have these French CANCANs. How is the Red Shoes different, right? Because the Red Shoes is very much sort of like the kind of probably the most successful version, I guess, of this type of story. But it's one that like I'm pretty lukewarm, I think, on Red Shoes compared to most people. Red Shoes is lots of people love Red Shoes. Like they really are into it. They love the look of it and they're caught into it. But it's never hit me as strongly as that. I mean, it's better than these movies.
Yes, 100%.
Right, without question. But I just wonder about that because this is like this would be like a genre, like someone wrote in about road trip earlier, and wrote the road trip as a genre, and I kind of wonder about like what are the actor movies? Like, would you? I mean, obviously we just talked about Black Swan today too, talking about Aronofsky stuff, and this whole thing of like artists. I mean, I think Black Swan. I mean, it's like this kind of horror movie that tackles this idea of like how artists works, but it's like the contemporariness of the way that movie is shot. It feels like lived in and it feels real. And I can like, I've only seen that movie once, but I still have a sense of how that movie feels. And I will watching these movies feel dated, I guess, ultimately. Yeah. And I don't think like if it wasn't Jean Renoir's name attached to these, I don't think anyone would be talking about them.
I don't think so either. I mean, other than this one, it's like I said, I think Mama Roma stands out a little bit.
Sure.
But I think there's some definite notches against it. The theater stuff, the overall story, it's kind of like whatever. Like I don't know.
Dime a
And one of
dozen.
yeah, and one of the problems with all three of these two is the main hook for all of them is like these pathetic men like begging women to sleep with them, and like
Mhm.
by the third movie, I really felt it where I was just like, holy fuck. I was like, is this all it's gonna be? Is these men is like, come on, let's go, and they're like grinning and like sniffing at women, and you're like, oh my god,
Sniffing what?
sniffing at them,
Gotcha.
like, you know. So like that's present here too. Like the whole thing, he's just like, I want you, and you're like, all right. I know this is 1952 allegedly, but all right. I don't know. I think there's some good stuff. There's a lot of stuff that I was kind of like, oof. Mixed bag.
Mixed bag. French CANCAN.
Yeah.
54. 19th century Paris comes vibrantly alive in Jean Renoir's exhilarating tale of the opening of the world-renowned Moulin Rouge. Jean Gabin plays the wily impresario Danglard,
Danglard.
who makes the can all the rage while juggling the love of two beautiful women, an Egyptian belly dancer and a naive working girl turned can star. This celebration of life, art, and the city of light, with a cameo by Edith Piaf, is a technicolor tour de force by a master of modern cinema.
Wow.
Gag me with a spoon. So, hey RJ, you know that movie Moulin Rouge? That
with Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Yeah, I fucking hate that movie. I don't know if I've ever talked about that. I
don't think that's surprising.
Yeah, that movie I hate it.
Okay.
It's the shits. So watching this, starting this French CANCAN, I was kind of like, well, what is this about? I didn't even know. I had no idea where this was going. All I saw was this movie just looked super desaturated to me. Mm-hmm. And then I read something as I was boredly watching. I was like, oh, this is about the Moulin Rouge. Hey, it's Jean Gabin, or the French man himself, who's in every movie we're watching this month, I guess. Okay. Apparently. Yeah. I think he's in next week's movie too. So it's never gonna end. So this movie, I guess if like you're really into watching ladies getting their legs up over their heads and doing like stretches, this maybe scratches that particular itch.
Scratches a itch. Yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah, but yeah. So Roger Ebert has this as one of his great movies.
Yeah, but I've said many times, Ebert doesn't know what the fuck.
I read multiple people via Amazon and Letterboxd that say this is a masterpiece and is the highlight, the crown jewel of this set, and how it's amazing and so great that this movie is available.
Bogdanovich said it too.
Yeah, I don't feel it. I don't see it.
Okay.
And I have nothing to say about this.
I'll help you.
This is pants. This movie is fucking pants.
I'll help you a little bit here, Jared. So we got the Moulin Rouge. We got Jean Bon. What was his name? Borgland or Gangling?
Whatever his name Danglard.
Danglard. So he is, I guess, Danglard. He's like a producer, right? A down on his luck producer, and he's like, you know what this town needs is a revitalization. He said we got to go back to the old classics. We got to go back to the French can baby, because that's what people want. They want something reliable, one of the old shows. So he starts setting it up. He's got his girls. He's got all his dancers. He
wants to put it on that coochie show.
That's Jarrett Duncan at CriterionCreeps.com. He has his, I guess, burlesque dancers, although I use that term a little bit advisedly. So he's got them. And then on the side, we got the young up-and-coming girl that would be played by like a Jennifer Lawrence type. Or maybe not anymore, but would have been played by a Jennifer Lawrence type. Yeah. And she's like, I'm a good girl, but I want to be bad. And she's like, maybe I will be. so she wants to be a can-can dancer. And he's like, I can see you got the spunk and the talent.
Oh, she hasn't got the spunk yet.
Oh, Jarrett, man, this episode is we're almost there. So he's like, come on, girl. But she's with this real boring guy, and she's like, I'm gonna leave him, even though he's secure. Then she's being courted to be in the can-can. She's gonna do it, but then she's getting courted by new younger guy, Proto Timothy Chalamet is what I would call him, because that's who it would have been, and it looks like him. I'll take a screenshot. And he's like, I want you, baby, and I want to get married. And she's like, I love you. And he's like, but you ain't gonna be no dancing girl for thousands of men to see.
Oh, wow.
And so this is where that nice guy incel, men pathetically begging women to be with, comes in for that part, because that's
Right.
it. That's the whole story with him. He's like, I love you, but I will never marry a dancer.
This is a story as old as time.
I know. Have you seen Coyote Ugly? Same thing.
Showgirls.
Same thing. So she has a decision whether she's going to do it or not while the show's getting prepared, and then there's also an aging starlet, which is Borgland's like lady, and it cuts to her sometimes. And this move, okay, so when it comes to a head, she has to make a decision, and he confronts her in front of everyone. He says, listen, honey, he said, you know the reason I don't like what you're doing? He's like, I don't give a shit if you go get married. He's like, but you could have been something and you wasted it. He's like, I thought you were a good dame. And then they do the can-can, and everyone laughs, and they go home, and that's the end of the movie, Jared.
Yeah, you know what? And then you say, hey, I could have just watched All About Eve. That's a good movie.
That is a good movie. Or you could have watched Coyote Ugly. John Goodman is in that movie.
Oh, he's good.
He is good. So that's what happens in this movie.
Yeah.
You have a few things in this movie just off the bat. I wrote it down. This is where some of the sporadic editing comes in, which is more prevalent in the next movie. But you have a scene where the girls are training for dancing, and then it cuts to a 3-second scene of the aging starlet, and a guy is trying to make out with her. It's only 3 seconds long, and then it cuts back to the people dancing. And I wondered to myself, I said, what is the point of that? I don't really understand. So there's a few things like that. This movie is also about the artistes. It is about, as Bogdanovich would say, entertainment as a whole, because it's not about the theater. It's about all of it. His words, not mine. And then this movie I think this movie's got really nice. It's got like some color pops that I thought were really nice. But this movie has, I think, one of the most hated characters I've seen in recent Criterion history, and it is the drama nerd, the turbo nerd guy, who is like, he's like, oh, I'm kind of an artist, and he's like, oh yeah, let me see, and the guy's like, and then he's putting his legs over his head, and he's like, good for you, kid, you got what it takes. And that guy, every time that guy's on screen, I couldn't stand it. I don't know if you know what it's like, the main acting guy. I was like, this is one of the most annoying fucking people I've ever seen in my life. So this movie is up its own ass, like all three of them are, about entertainment. I hate the drama guy. This movie's all about just drama nerds, and I can't stand that. But it's got nice sets. It's got some cool color. That's one thing that I really want to stress, is the sets are really nice.
Okay.
I thought, at least, like, and apparently, as Bog told me, this was filmed entirely in a sound studio.
Yeah, makes sense.
So
I guess it's not the 19th century anymore.
It's not the French countryside or anything like that. But
the City of Lights.
City of Lights. But yeah, I really like the sets and the production in that sense. But other than that,
the art director was none other than Max Doy.
Shrek? Doy. So anyways, that's French CanCan. I understand your lack of interest, because it's not an interesting movie, and that's where it really started to set in with me. About 20 minutes into this movie, I went, oh, here it comes. The next 2 hours are not going to be good. Yeah. Between this and the next one. So I don't know if you have anything to add on my words.
Not really. So again, like we could talk about the. I think this movie just doesn't look. This is not a good restoration. So, old Truffaut, he called this a milestone in the history of color of cinema.
I mean, I do think there's good color elements in this movie.
Yeah,
But
I mean,
other than that,
yeah, there's like I guess like so yeah. Renoir's father was a painter.
okay, that's cool.
Pierre Auguste Renoir. He was an impressionist, which were the dudes who were coming up in this period of time, and during the Moulin Rouge.
Is that good?
Does that make things more interesting? No,
Could be.
it doesn't make for a better movie.
Yeah, not at all. Anyways, done and done.
Done and done. And then, like, kind of like the bullet in the head.
Yep.
Elena and Her Men from 1956, a movie that Jean Renoir himself was like, yeah, that didn't work out.
Yeah, I'll tell you more about that.
And it's included for the sake of completion.
It's like an introduction to the movie pretty much, and he's just like, I wanted to make a comedy with Ingrid Bergman. It didn't really work. Most of this movie is improv, and most of this movie doesn't make sense. And he said, I tried to make a good movie, but it didn't happen. And then that's the intro to the movie, and you go, oh, cool. I'm so excited to watch this movie that you have, Criterion Collection.
The synopsis from Criterion Collection. Set amid the military maneuvers and quatorze Juliet carnivals of the turn-of-the-century France, Jean Renoir's delirious romantic comedy Elena and Her Men stars a radiant Ingrid Bergman as a beautiful but impoverished Polish princess who drives men of all stations to fits of desperate love. When Elena elicits the fascination of a famous general, she finds herself at the center of romantic machinations and political scheming with the hearts of several men, as well as the future of France in her hands.
Huge. Did you know, Jarrett, that this was a loosely true story of a coup d'etat?
Coup d'etat?
In the Europe region, and it had a weird ending where when the coup d'etat was not going to work, the general went to his lover's grave and shot himself. And that's the movie Renoir wanted to make. But then after discovering that man had living relatives, Renoir said, I don't want to do that because maybe they won't maybe those living people will think that this is embarrassing, and I don't want to do it to them.
Do you think he exclaimed, Sacre bleu?
Sacre bleu. So then what they did was they said we had loose elements of that story, and then we improv'd it. Do you find that's the case?
What?
I don't know. What do you think about Elena and Her Men?
Boy, what do I think of this fucking thing? I kind of had this on while I was painting minis.
Sure, you did.
And the gist of this is like it's a comedy. It's a real thing about like lusty dudes literally chasing women around, just wanting a little bit of action. And they're like, no, I want to get some. And that's the movie for like 95 minutes. So it's the shortest of the three. Of course, it's also subtitles and exhausting. And just like what is this? Why is this a movie? Like I think back to like something like The Importance of Being Earnest, which I feel like kind of covers the same kind of ground, but at least it's got like fantastic Oscar Wilde writing and dialogue.
Yeah. Yep.
And this doesn't have that. This just seems like a movie that was made to exist. And no one ever needs to watch it because, I mean, they make shit like this in 2020, the exact same type of movie, and no one gives a fuck about those either. But I guess no Jean Renoir, the equivalent, it's not like Steven Spielberg is directing like Hallmark movies, and people are like, oh man, you got to check out this one.
He could eventually. He might get there.
And this is his twilight.
How old is Spielberg? Like 80? 72?
He's probably getting in there. He's like on the younger side of like Scorsese, but.
Who do you think's the oldest guy ever?
Well, that would have been Kirk Douglas, R.I.P.
True.
It's up for debate whether he really died or not.
I still don't really understand how he was alive to begin with.
But I mean, Godard's still going.
Allegedly.
But don't worry, buddy. We've got you in our crosshairs. It's only a matter. It's only a matter of time.
When's the next Godard, in like 6 months or so?
Well, we just got off of one, and he survived then too.
Well, for now. Anyways, what were you talking about this movie?
Fuck. Who cares? Who cares about this shit?
Okay, here's the thing about this movie. This is the one I said was about actresses, and because this is just about Ingrid Bergman.
Yeah.
That's all this movie's about.
Uh-huh.
And Renoir himself said, he's like, when we couldn't make the movie we wanted, he's like, I decided I'll just make a movie with her and try to put her in comedic elements.
Oh.
And then it was like, and he was like, she had really good moments, but this movie itself doesn't really do anything.
Wow.
And I think this movie is all over the fucking place. It doesn't really make a lot of sense. It is the definition of all three of these, where it's men just begging women to be with them.
Mm-hmm.
And this one has the added insult of slapstick comedy and like other comedic elements that just like none of it is like, I know we talk about comedy being like dated, and like sometimes I can see, like, here's a good example. The Bank Dick, which I think is older than this movie.
Oh yeah. The
Bank Dick, I got some joy out of that. I thought Bank Dick was fine. This movie I watched, I was like, none of this is humorous.
Nope.
None of this means anything.
Nope.
This is a real piece of shit.
Yeah, I mean, it's just kind of like, what?
He's like, what is this?
People give Armageddon a hard time.
They've never seen Elena and Her Men,
and they never would, because no one, even when they get this box set, they're not watching this. Probably. Mm-hmm. Like they'll get for the first one, they might watch the second, and then they'll be like, I'll get around to that one day. I've got box sets like that all over my shelves, where I'm like, oh yeah, I'll get around to watching those deeper cuts. And you're like, this is deep cut stuff, and you're just like, yeah, that movie's in the collection. And we're the poor fuckers who have to watch it and apparently have to talk about. But it's like, these are just like, this is a dumb as shit comedy. It's like, oh, Ingrid Bergman's in it and she looks great.
Yeah, that's literally, I think that's the only thing people can say about this movie.
Yeah. Like
Ingrid Bergman. It's like, that's not enough, guys.
That's it. Like, I mean, fuck, I don't give a shit about actresses in these movies. Like, oh yeah, there's like some dudes who are like, oh, I gotta watch all of Audrey Hepburn's movies, even the bad ones, because I think she's so great. And it's like, I don't care. Like, I want to watch. There's like, life's too short to watch shit because they're like, oh yeah, I'm really into this actor.
Like, who do you simp for, Jarrett?
No one.
Minifigs?
Minifigs? What?
Would you? If there was a movie about minifigs, would that be the thing you'd simp for?
No.
No?
No.
I better tear up that screenplay I just wrote, I guess.
Yeah, sorry, buddy. There's no market for it.
Oh, there's some Warhammer 40K guy is going to be all over that. I can tell.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so if this was as you put it, the Renoir Trilogy, was a grueling experience, to say the least. And I don't know if I said this to you, but I watched all three of these movies in the same day.
Yeah, that was a mistake.
I know it was a mistake. It wasn't one I wanted to do, but it was literally the only free day I had all week, and I was like, I just got to burn through them.
I watched one of these in the afternoon, one the next day in the afternoon, and then one late in the evening, and it wouldn't have changed anything really.
No, these are it's a real turd, this box set.
Yeah, this is true skippable stuff, I think. Like there's I don't know, unless you are a Jean Renoir fan that's like really invested in this, I just don't see why you'd watch them.
I'd like all those people who think Criterion is completely infallible to.
Oh, that's bullshit. Like that's not.
Yep.
That's not.
Yeah, but those people exist, and I would just like them to watch this, and then maybe My Meteor and Magic Flute, maybe Schizopolis, maybe Henry V, and then come back, and then they can let us know if they still think that Criterion is this golden calf that cannot be folly. So bad movies, Jarrett.
Well, yeah. You want to hear about who hates these movies?
Other than us, of course.
All right then. First up, the Golden Coach.
Okay.
Kath Go, half a star for the Golden Coach. This is a very boring film. I had to watch it in installments like taking medicine. The director, Renoir, indulges in the lavish sets and colors and costumes and seems to regard the story as entirely dispensable, something that can be put off indefinitely in the service of showcasing the stupid period music or the low-budget sets or the beautiful Golden Coach of the title. Stills from the film might look like Kiss Me, Kate, really beautiful, but don't be fooled. There is nothing of any entertainment value here.
Wow. This person's telling it like it is, Jarrett. Kath Go loves old movies for the timeless glamour, high fashion, smart dialogue, and just desserts. Brackets. Hays Code was okay by me. I also like desserts. My all-time favorite actors are Irene Dunne and Greer Garson.
Man, if that person's taking a dump on this.
Well, exactly. This person, all they watch is old movies. Their favorites are Come Together Again by 1944 and Random Harvest from 1942. All their half-star movies are old movies. All their 5-star movies are old movies, except for that cat documentary, Kitty. They gave 5 stars, so that's pretty cool.
And this is the one that I like the most.
Well, I mean, Kath Go is on the right side, I guess.
And then for 1 star, Chris, not my kind of movie.
Do you know what is Chris's kind of movies?
I would love to know.
Santan Tango.
Nah, there you go, buddy.
Do you think that's accurate, or
They could.
they just gave Pepe Le Shit 3 stars? We got you, you fuckers. I'm looking at you, Sam Sanchez.
Jean Gabin.
Jean Gabin. Yeah, I mean, I don't believe this person at all. Here are some 5-star films, Jared. Santan Tango, Decalogue, Workmeister Harmonies, Showa. Like,
Yeah, those are all those are in the nebula.
I know they are, but at the same time, I feel like that's too easy. You know, it's too easy.
Next, French CANCAN.
All right.
Are the lowest review for this movie from Creeps alum Jared Berger. 2 stars. Charming.
Ooh. I question if this is a real guy.
Now, how do you read this? Is charming sarcastically, or just refer to it as it's charming?
I think he's probably being truthful.
Okay.
Jared Berger's favorite films include War and Peace, Brazil, Come and See, 8.5. What are some other half-star films? Ooh, House of a Thousand Corpses, one of your faves.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
No.
Interesting stuff, Jared Berger.
Yeah. Then for 2 stars as well from Raul Adumisimeli.
Terrific. You nailed it.
The Sap. Fortunate there wasn't a gun at hand. I might have suffered the same fate as the prince. Renoir apparently wanted to make a film that connects with the widest possible audience, and it is obvious. This is a masterclass in how to make a middling film. I better leave Renoir to the masters, the people who really admire him.
Jarrett?
Yes?
Do you think 5 stars is an accurate rating for Clerks 2?
Yeah, probably.
Okay.
I haven't seen it.
I have.
Oh, well, what do you think?
No. These ratings are all over the place. In their bio, they say favorite films include La La Land, Lady Bird, Jackie, and The Guest. So take it as it is.
I shall. And finally, ELENA and HER MEN.
Ooh, baby.
What do we got that? Oh, look at this. Creeps alumni.
Oh, no.
Smash the TV.
Oh, wow.
1 star. Oh, look, these reviews are all from the last week. It's like they were watching along with us and suffering.
That's pretty special.
Smash the TV rights. I have never wanted to quit the Criterion Collection until now. At least Brackage was something different. Spending 3 nights this week watching terrible French films about hetero, cis, rich white people is not how I want to spend my time. Who gives a shit about these people?
True. Very true. But I gotta say, Smash the TV. Oliver Granger's got Sully in his favorite films. 5 stars to La Dolce Vita. More like La Dolce shit. Am I right, Jarrett?
No.
So, whatever.
And Ruben Barbosa.
Uh-huh. That's a Creeps alum as well.
Yes, it is.
In one form or another.
2 stars.
Uh-huh.
This movie makes Smiles of a Summer Night look like the leopard. Herpa, derpa, derpa, derp. But no,
Nice.
Seriously, why the fuck is this movie in the Criterion Collection? And why was this movie added before Seconds, Sweet Smell of Success, and Come and See? I guess Criterion really likes boring French costume dramas made by has-been directors. Or maybe Criterion is legally obligated to add the bottom barrel crap of a director's career after they add the only 2 good movies they ever made. There's nothing notable to say about Elena and Her Men. It's only been a day since I've seen it, and I've already forgotten the whole thing. It's just a crappier version of Rules of the Game. So why wouldn't you just watch Rules of the Game instead?
I think that's a very fair assessment. Very fair. I gotta say, I've been liking that all these people who are following along, they said the same stuff we did, and they didn't even know what our opinions were. So we're right there. The only bad thing about Ruben Barbosa is that they just gave Porky's 2.5 stars, and I think Porky's is a pretty good show.
Comedy, it doesn't translate sometimes.
You seen Porky's, Jer?
I have not.
You should. I would love to hear what you think about Porky's.
I don't think you do.
Well, I mean, that remains to be determined.
Well,
good stuff.
We survived, I guess.
Yeah, we did.
We're intact.
Yep. For now.
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah. Just wiping ourselves off and moving on forward.
Yes, sir.
I think.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Any last thoughts on the stage and spectacle before we resign it to the dustbin of audio format, catalog, archive that some will listen to?
My last thought is that this is truly an example of mistakes. Why this brand cannot be trusted. Where is our endorsement, Criterion? Give it to us.
Oh boy. After the break, RJ is interviewed at 79 years old, asked about this very episode. And when now these movies are more well regarded than ever in 2082, and he'll say, "We try to make a good podcast."
And then in the last dying breath, who gives a shit?